Hello and welcome. You're watching To The Point. Once again, Parliament did not function today, and with the last day tomorrow devoted to private members' bills, the winter session is as good as a washout. So tonight we ask, who is to blame? Hereafter, how will Rahul Gandhi's corruption allegation against the Prime Minister be taken forward, or will it remain hanging in the air till Parliament convenes in January? And how do MPs of all parties defend their behaviour to the people of India? My guests are TMC MP Saugata Roy, CPM MP Ritubrata Banerjee, BJD MP Jay Panda, BJP MP Kirat Somaiya, and hopefully joining us soon, Congress MP Gaurav Gogoi. Kirat Somaiya, let's start with today. The opposition accuses the BJP of deliberately disrupting both houses of Parliament so there could be no debate on demonetisation whatsoever. Ghulam Nabi Azad made that point forcefully on the floor of the Rajya Sabha, and we all on TV saw Anant Kumar, the Parliamentary Affairs Minister, literally leading the charge against the opposition parties in the Lok Sabha. And I have a simple question. Why did the Treasury benches go out of their way to disrupt Parliament today?
Karan, you recollect that for last couple of days we are making it very clear we won't debate. Debate is already started, and today you've seen, witnessed in Lok Sabha when Congress and TMC started disrupting TRS. The TRS leader Jitendra Reddy, he went on record and said, why you are disrupting me? Me means Jitendra Reddy.
But that's yesterday.
Jitendra Reddy has gone on record and said, I had initiated
but that's
debate,
yesterday. What
and
about
I should
today?
be allowed to speak.
But what about today? You're talking about yesterday. I'm talking about today.
But
Ghulam
today
Nabi
that has
Azad
happened
on
in
the
Lok
floor of the
Sabha.
Rajya Sabha has accused the government. And we all saw Anant Kumar, Parliamentary Affairs Minister, virtually leading a charge against the opposition in the Lok Sabha. Why today were you so determined not to let the demonetisation debate happen?
That's what I'm telling you. I was in Lok Sabha, and in Lok Sabha, when Speaker also appealed and asked Congress leader Jitendra Reddy stood up and he said, I had initiated debate. I am also opposition. The debate is listed in my and Mehta's name. Let the Congress speak after us. So what was wrong if Rahul Gandhi could have spoken after Jitendra Reddy?
That's a good point. Unfortunately, the Congress spokesperson is still not with us to answer that point, but the charge you're making is that the debate was disrupted by Congress's insistence that Rahul had to speak first. They weren't prepared for Rahul to speak later. Whenever the Congress spokesman joins us, we will put that to him. But in the meantime, Saugata Roy, I want to come to you, because it was you yesterday on this very show who gave details of how there was a back-channel understanding, as you called it, that the demonetisation debate would happen in the Lok Sabha unconditionally, that is to say, without coming under any specific rule. And secondly, Rahul would speak first. That was part of what you called the back-channel understanding. And you added that the BJP reneged on it and insisted that Jaitley speak first. That was why the debate didn't happen yesterday. What's your version of why the debate didn't happen today?
Same reason. The BJP did not want the debate to take place. The speaker allowed 2 minutes to both Congress and TMC spokespersons. Kharge and Shudip Bandyopadhyay from our party spoke on the issue. We said that please start the debate without any rules. Now, Jitendra Reddy, Mr. Somaiya is correct. Jitendra Reddy had started speaking, but without our agreement. We were not agreeable to a discussion under 193, and Jitendra Reddy had initiated in the din nothing could be heard, some debate on the 193. So we didn't want that to happen, because then none of the opposition's requests would be kept. We wanted, as I told you again yesterday at the risk of repeating, we wanted a debate on an adjournment motion, which could easily have been allowed, and government with its majority would have voted us out. Then we wanted a debate under 184, which entailed voting. That was also not allowed. And we agreed to a debate without any rules on the Speaker's initiative. The Speaker herself had proposed this to a Business Advisory Committee meeting at which I was present. But the government has not allowed. The government obviously does not want the debate to take place.
Okay.
So to put up Jitendra Reddy, a loyal His Majesty's opposition, that is more loyal persons, so how would he start the debate?
Can I stop you there?
Agree to a discussion
Dr. Roy, I'm
Rule
interrupting you.
193.
You're casting aspersions on Jitendra
Yes.
Reddy. He's a member of an opposition party.
Yes, please.
He ought technically to be on your side, and yet you're claiming he's His Majesty's opposition and
they're
suggesting
totally
he's
loyal
a
to the
plant.
government.
You're suggesting, although you never use that word, he's a plant who acted as a Trojan horse on behalf of the government. Is it fair to cast those aspersions on a fellow MP?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
That's why. No, he is a friend of mine, but that is the truth.
Well,
the
if
truth
that's
is
how you
two
treat your
parties,
friends, I'd hate to
BJP
see how you treat your
and
enemies.
TRS.
I've
They
got
are
Gaurav
not
Gogoi there,
part
let
of
me
the
go to him.
government, but they're acting as Trojan horses of the government.
Well, I think it's unfortunate that you should bring it down to this level of personal attack on each other, but that's your prerogative if you want. Gaurav Gogoi, today the government
This is
claims
no personal
that it was
attack. Mr. Karan Thapar, I said that TRS and BJD are plants of the government. They are Trojan horses sitting in the opposition benches. That's
Yes.
all I said. It's nothing
Absolutely.
personal.
And I said that there was something personal about calling Jitendra Reddy a Trojan horse, but you have a right to do so, and freedom of speech means that you can do it on my program
No,
whenever you
Jitendra
want.
Reddy is just TRS man. He was doing at his
All right,
party's
let me
meeting.
go to Gaurav Gogoi. Gaurav Gogoi, on the other hand, the government claims that they were only too keen for a debate, particularly for an opportunity for Rahul Gandhi to make public the details of his allegation about the Prime Minister's alleged corruption. But Congress, or maybe the opposition as a whole, laid down a spurious condition that Rahul must speak first. Why is Rahul speaking first so important? What he has to say is what counts. How does it matter if he's the second person to speak or the third?
Well, first of all, I have since Friday, when the opposition parties have agreed that let us have a discussion under no rule, I am surprised to see members of the ruling party getting up and creating disruption in the parliament, creating such an atmosphere which forced the speaker to adjourn.
But Gaurav Gogoi, you're repeating things that were said before you joined us, which is why I'm stopping you. We've been down that path when you were not with us. Answer my specific question. Why is Rahul speaking first so important that you actually hold up the debate on those grounds? Why can't he speak second or third? It's what he says that counts, not when he says it, in chronological order.
Well, Karan, first of all, it is the Congress and other opposition parties such as the TMC who have been leading at the forefront of demanding a debate on demonetization. We have tried to be as flexible for the government to have a discussion, and my previous panelist has spoken of given example of our flexibility. Now, instead of giving the opportunity for the opposition, the major opposition parties to present their arguments, you are trying to provoke the opposition by having the regional parties start the debate and giving them the primacy, and with that you will never know when Congress gets his chance, when TMC will get his chance. Tomorrow after TRS, Akali Dal could get the chance, AIDMK can get the chance. This is not parliamentary convention. So this is an abuse of parliamentary privileges, parliamentary convention which the ruling party has undertaken, and since Friday it is clear that it is the ruling party which is trying to find excuses for not having a debate.
Ritu Pratap Banerjee, let's come to the Rajya Sabha. There, for several weeks, you've been demanding that the Prime Minister must be present and that he must speak. Today, I'm told he was president and the government has made it crystal clear that he will speak. Yet once again, nothing happened in the Rajya Sabha. Why? Why did you hold up the Rajya Sabha?
Everybody has seen The government everywhere is, in Lok Sabha it is using its tyranny of majority. In Rajya Sabha it is also clear that the treasury benches, they were disrupting the house because the government doesn't want the rest of the demonetization debate to take place. Because it has been seen, and the chair has been repeatedly asking why the treasury benches are disrupting the house. So it is very clear that the government doesn't want the discussions to continue. That's why they were disrupting the house.
But can I put this to you, because it's a question that applies to the tactics of the opposition, both in your house as well as the lower house. Why not call the government's bluff, let Arun Jaitley speak first, and then field Rahul Gandhi or whoever in the Rajya Sabha and blow them apart with whatever you have to reveal? Why not call their bluff? Because it's the opportunity to speak and expose that you want, not necessarily having to speak first.
No. What is clear now from for the last few days and what is happening in both the houses, particularly in the Lok Sabha, I am again repeating, the government is using its tyranny of majority to bulldoze things. So no, we cannot rely on this government. What has been happening? It is now clear, very clear, that the government is not, the opposition demands, minimum demands are not being respected, and that is very dangerous for parliamentary democracy.
Jayapanda, you're neither with the BJP nor with Congress. Who would you say from your independent in-between position is responsible for disruption over the last 2 days? Earlier, it was crystal clear to most people that the opposition was responsible. But yesterday and today, a lot of people have the impression that in fact the treasury benches were disrupting. Would you agree with that?
Even Friday.
Let me give you 3 answers, Karan, that will answer this. Number 1, there is farcical posturing on both sides. And going beyond the superficial posturing that is going on, I want to address the fundamental core problem. Second point, if you monitored the Lok Sabha today, you would have noticed the Honorable Speaker complimented my colleague in the BJD who spoke up because he criticized the government and yet was nevertheless criticized by the Congress. So it doesn't really pay to be very independent in terms of how your colleagues view you. The third thing is, it's very clear BJP and Congress behave exactly the same when they are in government and exactly like each other the same when they are in opposition. And really the problem is, you heard my colleague from the Trinamool Congress say that they did not agree to TRS speaking. This is the problem. The problem is our rules of agenda setting in Parliament go back to 19th century ideas of consensus, when even 1 out of 36 parties can decide that they would veto what is to happen in the House. All modern legislatures, whether they are the UK Parliament or the US Senate or Congress, have gone on to real strict non-discretionary rules which don't depend on consensus. And what I have been proposing is we have strict rules like that, where if 50 MPs sign, there should be a non-voting discussion.
Jayapanda,
and
but that's a slightly
100
different
MPs
issue.
sign, there should be a voting discussion. That would be the end of the matter.
That's a slightly different issue, but come back to my point. Would you accept that for the last 2 days, the impression in the outside world that the treasury benches were doing the disrupting is the correct impression? Give me a swift answer to that.
No. The swift answer is there is something to it, but it is vastly exaggerated. We did see in the House that Treasury bench members were holding up posters, but to be fair, they did not rush into the well, they did not stop the speakers from speaking. That is real disruption. Okay. And you did see other members of the opposition stop Jitendra Reddy from speaking. So it's very simplistic to say that one side stopped it and the other side didn't. It hasn't been very different from what's been going on for the past 3 weeks and having complete deadlock and no discussion.
Kirit Somaiya, despite what you've heard from Jayapanda, once again it was reported that L.K. Advani was so distressed he even feels like resigning. Earlier it was reported that he held the government as much responsible and as much to blame as the opposition. Now, he's not just a former deputy prime minister, he's virtually the man that made your party. Doesn't his anguish embarrass you?
See, actually, everybody, we all are disturbed. The people of India are disturbed. We won't debate. Now, just now, I got more disturbed when I listen to my colleague from TMC that he is blaming another regional party that they are Trojan horse. TRS and BJD are Trojan horse. So this type of behavior and language certainly disturb us. Congress had to accept they are one of the opposition party. They are not allowing us to function or two other opposition parties to function, and that's why whether it is Advani.
But what about the fact that Mr. Advani believes the government is as much to blame as the opposition? That is the critical point. And reportedly, Mr. Advani even took up the matter with Anand Kumar.
Actually, as I told you, many of us also have informally interacted with our colleagues in opposition and in ruling party, both the sides. Let us start the debate. Let us start the debate. Advani ji is a very senior, respectable parliamentarian. So I can't talk about his knowledge and ethics. But we also feel let Congress and TMC allow the parliament to function. Let us not say, pass any such strictures about our colleagues that they are Trojan horse.
Well, Gaurav Gogoi, many people feel that Congress is deliberately devising new reasons each day to hold up the debate and disrupt Parliament, both because you want to delay and derail other business, perhaps particularly the GST, but also because you want to take revenge on the BJP for what they did during the 10 years when you were in power. That's a firmly held impression that many people have. How do you convince them that impression isn't the truth?
Well, the facts speak for themselves, Karan. If for the entire session the Congress party stuck to one demand, that we will only have a debate under adjournment motion and no other rule, then that's a fair perception that Congress party is rigid. But in order to have a debate, we tried to be flexible. We said, fine, the government rejected adjournment motion.
Mr. Gogoi, you may have stuck to one demand in the Lok Sabha, but in the Rajya Sabha, you kept changing your position. First, you wanted the Prime Minister present and willing to speak. Then when he was present, you wanted him to apologize for comments that you thought were an insult to the opposition. And then last Friday, you effectively ensured that your members didn't attend, so there was no quorum. You've tried every tactic possible in the Rajya Sabha to hold up that house.
Inaccurate, Karan. In Rajya Sabha, the Union Finance Minister Arun Jaitley stated on the floor of the House that the Prime Minister will sit through the entire debate, after which you had Dr. Manmohan Singh speak, after which you had Naresh Agarwal from the SP speak, and both of these speeches had such an impact on the Prime Minister that he left after lunch and never came back. Now that is the kind of attitude we are seeing from the ruling party. You just cannot take their words at face value. And the Prime Minister is weeping, is crying, is making jokes, and yet comes up with this hilarious claim that he is not being allowed to speak in the Parliament. Surely, in the Lok Sabha, where his party commands a majority, if tomorrow the Prime Minister wants to intervene, there's nothing which is going to stop him. Previously, the government has passed bills while the entire opposition was in the well. Previously, we had ministers such as Sushma Swaraj making her statement on the Lalit Modi case when all the opposition parties were in the well. Surely they have such a commanding majority. If the Prime Minister wants to speak in the Lok Sabha, there is nothing which is stopping him. So this is a whimsical excuse, and this exposes the BJP.
You know, Saugata Roy, you made a lot about the fact that it was an understanding that you had reached that Rahul Gandhi had to speak first. But as far as the country is concerned, in what order an MP speaks is not of any concern to anyone. It's what he says and how important that information he delivers is that matters. So this issue that you've created, over which you held up Parliament yesterday and today, that Rahul Gandhi didn't speak first even though there was an understanding, is not an issue that resonates with the people. To the people it looks like just a cheap tactic to disrupt Parliament. That's all.
Karan, common people are neither aware nor concerned about the niceties of rules of Parliament. They see a debate when it happens, they see a disruption when it happens. But the fact is, what would have happened if Rahul Gandhi was not allowed to speak? Then Jaitley would have made a speech for 1 hour, and then the ruling party would have disrupted the House as they are doing today and did yesterday and did on Friday, and not allowed anybody else to speak. That was the stratagem, that Jaitley should speak first and then not let the other, let the speakers from opposition parties speak. That's why we made it a condition that they must hear us in silence. Let Rahul Gandhi speak, somebody from the TMC speak, then the government can start making interventions. You remember when the debate took place in Rajya Sabha, when Manmohan Singh spoke, Naresh Agarwal and Derek O'Brien spoke, in the same debate Piyush Goyal from BJP also spoke. There is no problem. But the Prime Minister decided not to come.
Actually, you're mixing up 2 days of speeches and conflating it into one, but never mind. Piyush Goyal spoke on the first day, the other 3 spoke on a completely different day. But never mind, you're mixing it up.
Yes.
Ritubrata Banerjee, not just in the eyes of the...
I'm talking of that was the part of the Rajya Sabha debate.
Interrupted in between by the opposition. That's the point you're forgetting. Ritubrata Banerjee, not just in the eyes of the Indian people, but probably in the eyes of the whole world, the Indian Parliament has become a laughingstock. Does that worry you? Those scenes are on YouTube and people laugh at our democracy when they see it. They don't admire our MPs. They think our MPs have become a laughingstock.
Running the parliament is not only the duty of the opposition. See, as far as the debate in parliament is concerned, Sitaram Yechuri had made it clear in the House that earlier when Congress was in power, when that 2G thing came up, the opposition demanded that the Prime Minister must come in the House. Dr. Manmohan Singh, the then Prime Minister, he sat for 2 days in the House. The entire discussion, he heard the entire discussion, and after that a JPC was constituted. We have been demanding from the beginning, let the JPC be constituted, let the Prime Minister come, listen to the discussion. The Prime Minister has been in the House, in the premises, but he has not come to the House. And see, this has been continuing for weeks.
Mr. Banerjee,
so it is clear that
Mr.
what is the mood of the
country faces a small economic crisis at the moment, admittedly, because of the demonetization imposed by the Prime Minister. But that crisis does exist. And therefore, the Prime Minister may well have other things to do rather than spend the whole day in the Rajya Sabha listening to opposition speakers. And he can still follow the debate from his chamber. And what's important is that when you want him to reply, he'll be there to reply.
No, I am not. The Honorable Prime Minister seldom comes to the House. Everybody knows that. I am not going into that. But the point is, with the announcement that has the sufferings of the common people till date, how many common people have died due to this demonetization
process? But are those grounds for holding up the House, or all those
without the pros and the cons?
But are those grounds for holding up the House, or are there grounds for actually having a debate and holding the government to account?
It is not a question of holding up the House. Today itself, it's the... We have categorically asked, repeatedly urged that the Honorable Prime Minister must be there in the House, listen to the debate. For the entire first day when the debate continued, many members spoke on the first day, the Honorable Prime Minister was not there. And then again on the next day when the debate took place, only after he did not come back, he went away. So it's clear that the government doesn't want the debate on demonetization.
Jaypanda, there's only 1 day left. But the bitterness, the divide and the utter distrust between both sides is probably deeper than it's ever been. Is there any chance that Parliament will function tomorrow, or is that not just unlikely, is that inevitable that it will not function?
At the risk of incurring yet another privilege motion for speaking bluntly, I must first say that yes, indeed, Parliament has become a laughing stock. And people have either just lost interest in what we are doing or are, as you said, laughing. And one other thing I'd like to say, Karan, although there is a chance of some bills being passed in the din tomorrow, I don't think that's what Parliament is for. And I urge you, Karan, as one of our most serious journalists of the old school, to dig beneath the symptoms that we are talking about, which is all this posturing by both opposition and government. And to go down to the real problem is that our parliament cannot function by consensus when there are 36 parties. That is a 19th century notion. We must have clear rules about what is required for a non-voting discussion, what is required for a voting discussion, and not be bickering about setting the agenda.
You're absolutely right, and I know that's a subject on which you've written, and it's a position that you've advocated, and I hope people listen to you, because that is undoubtedly one solution to a problem that has carried on bedeviling our parliament for at least 10 years. But I'm going to take a break at that point. When I come back, I'm going to ask a second critical question. If Parliament doesn't function tomorrow, and there's every chance it won't, how will Rahul Gandhi's serious allegation of personal corruption against the Prime Minister be taken forward? Or will it be left hanging in the air right up till possibly the next session of Parliament in January? There's not just confusion, but potential damage to the highest office of the country. But Gaurav Gogoi, let's now come to the question, what happens if Parliament doesn't function tomorrow? In those circumstances, will Rahul Gandhi go public with his allegation of corruption against the Prime Minister at a press conference? Or will he actually keep quiet until the next session of Parliament, which is not probably till the third week of January?
Karan, Rahul Gandhi ji is not a person to keep quiet, rest assured. There's going to be a series of steps which Rahul Gandhi ji and the Congress party is going to take to highlight the failure and the scam that demonetization is. We're going to fan out in all parts of the country. We'll be speaking to farmers and those most affected directly by demonetization, and we will raise the issues both with the Prime Minister, the President, and we will talk about how the scam has been.
But I'm not asking you about how you propose to take your campaign against demonetization forward. I'm asking what would happen specifically to the allegation of personal corruption that Rahul Gandhi raised so forcefully, so loudly and so publicly against the Prime Minister yesterday. Will he give the country the details, or will he keep quiet till the next opportunity in Parliament, which won't be till January? Which of the two?
Well, Karan, of course, I cannot give you the details on a TV studio. I will just repeat, Rahul Gandhi ji is not a person to keep quiet. He will present his arguments. He has substantive information on this scandal, and he will take it to the public.
You know, many people suspect that the reason why Rahul insists on speaking on the floor of the House and not in public is because he wants and perhaps needs the immunity you get when you speak on the floor of the House. Were he to make those allegations and those details that back up the allegations public outside the floor of the House, he could be sued for libel.
Rahul Gandhi ji is neither afraid of legal lawsuits. He has fought the RSS in legal cases. He is not afraid of the government's intimidation by arresting him. That has also taken place before this session began. So please do not think that Rahul Gandhi ji is so intimidated by immunity. He clearly wants to speak in the Parliament. We want to model the fact that it is not proper to speak outside, such as the Prime Minister is doing, and remain mum within the Parliament. We want the Prime Minister, like in other countries such as my other panelist Jawaharlal says, to really answer the questions of the opposition
party. The country realizes you can't actually admit Rahul needs the cover of immunity. You'll never admit that. But is there a possibility that if Rahul doesn't get a chance to speak in Parliament, you may choose to go public through one of your chief ministers in a state assembly, because that too would provide the individual with the cover of immunity. And the chief minister, when going public, could say that because Rahul never got the opportunity, I am revealing on his behalf the details of the allegation. Is that the ruse you have?
Again, Karan, the assumption is that Rahul Gandhi ji is afraid of any legal or any police repercussions. That is not the case. He has been fighting, been going to courts to fight lawsuits against him. His police have arrested him as well. Rahul Gandhi ji is not afraid of anything. He only stands for the truth, and he stands for the poor who have been suffering as a result of demonetization.
Proof of that statement will only come when Rahul Gandhi actually publicly reveals what allegation of corruption he has. Let's wait and see if he does it or not. Kirit Sumaya, if Rahul Gandhi doesn't speak out, the most serious allegation of personal corruption against the Prime Minister will continue to hang in the air over Mr. Modi's head. And even if we don't know the details or don't have proof, Won't just that allegation hanging over Mr. Modi's head damage the image of the Prime Minister? And doesn't that worry you?
Actually, I agree with Gogoi. Rahul Gandhi is not afraid about court or such thing. Here the problem is that do Rahul have anything like that? Or it was just for a breaking news. Yesterday he announced in the press conference, I have got so many documents, proof, details. Then what is waiting for? Is he scared? If he's not scared, what yesterday was a stunt. Tomorrow also Parliament is there. I just checked whether Rahul has given any notice. Immunity also, immunity, but there are house rules. If anybody wants to go for a personal allegation, then he has to give the notice. No problem. If Rahul wants to speak without notice, then also. Do you have anything? I am very much certain, confident, Sri Narendra Modi, our Prime Minister, has done nothing wrong, but Rahul, for just publicity stunt, is going on making such statements.
Shaukat, all right, let me ask you a question that may be almost a moral question. Can a man who hopes himself to be Prime Minister one day make accusations of personal corruption against the Prime Minister and then not give details to back up his claim, but instead deliberately choose to keep quiet? And if he does that, doesn't it amount to gross irresponsibility?
I do not think so. This is politics, Karan. So, Rahul must be happy if the allegation of corruption hangs like a Damocles sword over the head of Mr. Modi. Allegations of corruption against him are nothing new. Arvind Kejriwal has made the allegation that the Aditya Birla group paid him 25 crores when he was Gujarat CM. Also, it is known that in the Sahara inquiry,
but you know what the Supreme Court judges said about that in a different context to Prashant Bhushan just yesterday. The Supreme Court judges are not inclined to accept that at face value.
I know what Mr. Kehar said about that. You know, I know what Mr. Kehar said about that, but the case has not been dismissed yet, if you know.
Yes, but the case doesn't look as if it's got legs. But come back here. You think it's okay? You think it's okay for Rahul Gandhi to accuse the Prime Minister of personal corruption and yet deliberately and consciously refuse to make public either the details or to give proof? You think that's okay? That's acceptable behavior?
In politics, it's not wrong to hang a Damocles sword over your adversary. There is nothing wrong. I am not privy to Mr. Rahul Gandhi's secrets.
You are in danger of confirming most people's opinion that politics is an immoral profession.
But Karan, at this point, Karan.
Yes, go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Karan, at this point, let me say two things. You have said that the Parliament is a laughing stock. We have seen television footage of MPs coming to blows, both in the South Korean and Italian parliaments. That has not made them laughing stock of the world. Again, you said that...
Forgive me, sir. That footage was on every international TV channel and we laughed when we saw it. And surely you don't want to emulate that behavior yourself.
We have done nothing worse than the Italians or the South Koreans. I don't see that there is anything to be ashamed of what the opposition did. Because they are protesting rightly against the obduracy and tyranny of a government.
If MPs choose to bash each other up, it's good entertainment provided free in a democracy, and maybe that's the way the MPs actually fulfill their responsibility. But Jay Panda, I want to pick up...
No, I didn't say that. I said that in Parliament we have not come to fisticuffs.
So far, give yourselves a chance. The country is pretty confident.
And Karan, the other thing I want...
Let me bring in Jay Panda, sir. Jay Panda, you heard Dr. Shaukat Roy justify Rahul's behavior on the grounds this is politics. He said it twice. But I want to put this to you. At the end of the day, if there is no morality or ethics in politics, then politics loses its meaning and value. And isn't it immoral and I'm now deliberately using that adjective. Isn't it immoral to accuse the PM of corruption but refuse to give details, except in Parliament, where parliamentary immunity protects you from libel? Yet you make that accusation in public and don't give any details, smear the Prime Minister's reputation, and he can't even defend himself because he doesn't know what he's defending himself against. Isn't that an immoral way of conducting politics?
Karan, I think what is even worse for a politician than being accused of immorality is to undertake a strategy which is not smart to begin with. You know, he has made very serious allegations, and I don't have a dog in this fight, but like the average citizen outside, all of us in Parliament are waiting agog that he has to now actually come out with details of what the allegations are. Now, regarding the immunity in Parliament or not, that has been touched upon by others, and like you've said, it could be taken up in a state assembly or something. But to not now come through, not follow through, will actually have a counterproductive effect, because while you think it may be a sword of Damocles on the Prime Minister, it could have just the opposite effect, because people will not consider it seriously unless there are specific allegations out in the public.
Quite right. He'd be like the boy who cried wolf once too often. I'm going to come to Ritubrata Banerjee in a moment's time, but I'm going to go first back to you, Mr. Gogoi, for the simple reason that your leader has been called not smart. That was Jay Panda's words. And I suggested in my questions that his behavior was immoral and not really defensible. Let me give you a chance to defend your leader.
Well, that might be your perception, Karan, and might be the perception of Jay Panda. Nothing to say. But to my friends at the BJP, if they are so sure of themselves, then why didn't they have a debate today? If they were so sure that Rahul Gandhi ji does not have substantive information, the best way to have proven that was to have a debate today, was to have a debate, started the debate last week on Friday itself. The very fact that the BJP chooses to create excuses to create and vitiate the atmosphere within the parliament which forces the speaker to adjourn shows that they are clearly insecure. The Prime Minister has remained mum, not a single peep or squeak from the Prime Minister so far. So I think the BJP is clearly insecure.
Can I put that to you, Kirit Somaiya? Because what you've heard Gaurav Gogoi say is actually a thought that's occurred to many others as well. One of the reasons why so effectively, assiduously and determinedly the Treasury benches decided to hold up Parliament today, and some people claim it's the first time in Indian history since independence that the government itself has disrupted Parliament, is because actually behind your bravado and bluster, you're scared Rahul Gandhi may well have something that could damage the Prime Minister, and you do not want it to get out on the floor of the House. And this, in fact, was your way of protecting the PM because you're nervous.
Karan, he is the responsible leader of a major political party. If there is something has gone wrong, they are meeting several times, Honorable President of India. If the Prime Minister has done something wrong, they could have approached President. They could have told it in Rajya Sabha. They could have participated today after Jitendra Reddy in Lok Sabha. And if there is something wrong, if they have documentary evidence, why they, for what they are waiting for? They are making several allegations outside the Parliament also. So this is nothing. Rahul Gandhi, just for publicity stunt, he's gone on making such absurd statements. Or I think there is a possibility after he makes such bravo announcement, his colleague in Congress party might have gone through the document papers what he have, and they must be laughing within themselves, and that's why he has been asked to wait, stop.
Let me give you the last word, Jay Panda. Once again, I choose to do so because you're neither from Congress nor from BJP. Would you accept that at a time when Parliament was needed desperately to function, to hold the government to account both for implementing, but more importantly for poorly implementing demonetization, Parliament has failed the Indian people? That at a time when they are suffering standing in queues, when the economy is visibly slowing down, and when people are possibly losing jobs because of demonetization, Parliament and MPs have failed to hold the system to account. Would you accept that? That you've let the people of India down?
Karan, sadly, this is only the latest example of several years of Parliament letting the people of India down. We have had this situation before when very important matters of economic decision making and political decision making were completely not taken up by Parliament because of entire sessions being washed out. This is not the first time that an entire session has been washed out when there's an important topic to be discussed. But I wouldn't characterize it entirely as in the terms that you put it, that demonetization being a complete failure and that this was the chance to put it on the mat. I think there are many merits of demonetization that the government could have argued to sell its ideas to the people. So it has been let down on both sides, and we just can't keep talking about the superficial posturing. We have to go down to the roots of why Parliament doesn't function and try to fix that.
Absolutely, and those are roots on which you have written extensively, and maybe we should listen more carefully to your words of advice on that particular subject, because Parliament can only benefit rather than lose by following your advice. But we're going to have to leave it there. It's been a very depressing session of Parliament. There's one day left, but the chances that Parliament can redeem itself are probably very small indeed. My thanks to all my guests for joining me. Goodbye. Good night.